Welcome to A Right to Know. I'm your host and producer, Sherry B. And today we have a really awesome show for you with information. You may want to take notes. We are having with us today, for the first time on A Right to Know, Maria Boldry. She is a naturopath and educator based in Greeley, Colorado, and the founder of LiteLife Solutions, a natural healing clinic. Maria works closely with clients to identify root causes of imbalance and create personalized protocols that support the body's innate ability to heal. She has been in the health and wellness world since 1997 and calls herself an electroceutical junkie. Maria is also the formulator of Settle Down, the Natural Happy Pill, which is an herbal formula designed to promote internal calm, enhanced focus, and halt brain chatter. Passionate about education, she empowers individuals by examining their symptoms to create a better understanding of their deficiencies. Her work is rooted in the belief that when given the right support, the body has an incredible capacity to rebalance, restore, and thrive. So we'll just give a really quick disclaimer for those of you who are listening and not watching. Not everyone appearing in this program is trained in medical science. No statements or beliefs should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare practitioner before embarking on any regime. This info is offered for educational and entertainment purposes only. So today we're going to cover some cutting-edge evolving healing technologies and a dynamic combo of PEMF, and we'll explain all what that is, and terahertz, and define all this with a top naturopath in this arena, the electroceutical junkie herself. So I'd like to welcome for the first time to A Right to Know, Maria Boldry. Welcome.
Thank you, Sherry. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to be here, and I'm so glad you invited me. We have some really cool things to talk about today.
We certainly do. And I've been listening in on, different calls with you and practitioners, and you are a wealth of information and so compassionate and caring. That's so obvious to your clients. I know that you've been in this industry for decades, researching and seeing what the most efficient modalities with helping your patients. And once I recently learned myself of PEMF and terahertz technology, I tried it myself. I've been using it for a couple of months now. And, it crossed my mind that perhaps, and I am an ultimate optimist, that for some reason now is starting to trickle out to humanity what has been kept from us. People talk about med beds and everything, but just healing technologies, because those, I'll just call them the powers that were, benefit from us being sick, cha-ching wise and otherwise. But anyways, welcome, Maria, naturopath Maria. And but I want to first tell us about your background and how you got started in helping people.
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. I was a young mother with two little kids, and my husband started seeing a chiropractor, and I wanted to see her too because she was making some pretty profound differences in his health. And so I asked her if I could do some filing for her in trade. And she said, well, HIPAA won't allow me to do that. Do you need a job? And I went, maybe. And that's how it started. I literally just kind of worked my way into my first job, ended up becoming a manager of that chiropractic office, and then moved to another one and managed that for about 13 and a half years as well. So every single day, being a CNA or CA behind the counter, literally working with the people, I got to learn something new about the body every single day. And I was astounded. And thankfully, I was working with doctors who were chiropractors. They were working with the whole body. So the chemical side of it, the physiological part of it, the physical part of it, and the mental, everything was being addressed, and using muscle testing and different techniques that I had never seen before, but I was very intrigued by them. And they were also formulators. So I got to see the whole process of what it looks like to formulate your own product and then get it out there in bottle form to sell. So it was this beautiful college that I went to every single day and got paid to go to college, basically learning about the human body. And thankfully, I have a brain that just kind of absorbs all that stuff and I can recall it and bring it back. So I'm super thankful for that. And then in 2009, I stepped out on my own and started my own clinic. Mostly because I wanted to be able to share some of the things I was finding that these particular doctors didn't want to bring into their clinic. And I was kind of disappointed with some of those things because there was so much great information, but a lot of times doctors like to stay kind of in their realm and they don't really want to step out too much. So I decided when I opened my own clinic, and I did do an online certification for naturopathy just because I needed to get into some of these vitamin and companies that sell that, but they needed people with initials after their name. I couldn't just go in as a layman. I had to have initials after my name. So that's really why I chose to get a certification as a naturopath. And so my desire when I opened my clinic was to have an open mind, and anything that crossed my desk, I was going to look at it, because I had spent 15 years in an industry where that didn't happen. And I was really disappointed because I knew a lot of clients and patients needed something new. They needed acupuncture. They needed a lot of other things that maybe that particular doctor wasn't bringing to the table. So I really set my own place of, if something crosses my desk, I'm never going to say no. I'm going to look at it and I'm going to research it. So that's where I sort of became the researcher and finding things that would help people, and found some really great tools along the way, and got to rub elbows with some people in my life that had information to share with me as well. So it's been a really great journey. And I just feel so blessed to not only help my family, but also just provide for the community that we have here. So that's kind of the history of how I got started. It was kind of a faux pas. I asked if I could do some filing. So that was kind of fun.
Hey, that's excellent. You never know where God puts you. I know that's been happening my whole life. You end up here and it's like, wow, that's definitely a God thing. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today, Maria Boldry, is because you are curious, you do research, you've tried many different modalities, you can compare them, you're courageous, you want to really help people. So you are willing to do the research. And one of the things that has come out somewhat recently is the combo of PEMF, and I haven't even told the audience yet what that stands for. Many know, some don't, and terahertz. So I'll just say that PEMF stands for pulsed electromagnetic frequency, and then we have the terahertz combo, which is what we're going to talk about today. So I know you're going to share a slide deck with us. I don't know if you first would like to talk about what PEMF does and what terahertz does. And we have a little video at some point that we can pull in.
Yeah, absolutely. I can start just by saying that, yes, I'm not as familiar in my practice with terahertz because that's sort of new to the field. But PEMF has been around for a very long time, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. What it really does is it's a grounding mechanism. It's pulsed electromagnets, basically, if you want to think of it that way, of helping the cells ground. If you think of our body is just a bag of atoms, and around every atom is positive and negative electrons and protons. Really, that's what we're made of. So we are really a bag of magnets, if you want to look at it that way. So when we have pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, we are bringing back into balance all of our atoms into a place where they can harmonize and communicate again. We even have people on PEMF that they're bipolar, right? Because we're looking at how the poles shift. Their bipolar symptoms seem to soften and go away, even because the pulsed electromagnetic field starts to bring all of the atoms back into balance, and there's communication now. So that has been, PEMF in my practice has been a huge blessing because I've seen so many amazing things about it. Terahertz, on the other hand, terahertz is in between the microwave and the infrared field. There, we are exposed to terahertz every day, just not in a directed fashion. We are exposed to PEMF every day. We're not in that place where it's, genuinely being in our information field directed to it. walking on Earth, you're experiencing some form of PEMF, right? It's a grounding type of technology or wavelength. So when you put these two together is where really you and I alike really found kind of, I call it a secret sauce, because the PEMF will bring about better blood flow to the body, get blood to the cell, and enhance that. But then you have terahertz that's coming in, and terahertz, I kind of describe it this way, that this is gigahertz, right? This is kind of the waveform of gigahertz. And then hertz is a little bit shorter, right? Terahertz is this. It's like the ripple across the water, comparatively. For those who are listening and can't see me, gigahertz is a very big wave up and down, and terahertz is like a ripple across the water. So it's a very, very fast wave pattern. That activates the water molecules in the body, which then allows the cells to have actually more voltage. So now we have this great combination of PEMF, which gets blood flow out to the cell, and then we have terahertz that is activating better cellular voltage. Well, when that happens, cells now are actually calling for better blood flow. So there's this great symbiotic thing that happens, great synergy thing that happens between the two. And I call it a secret sauce because I've worked with PEMF technology for so long, and I kind of know what it does in the body. This was astounding in my clinic to see somebody have amazing results, even people with stroke residue symptoms in one session, just having amazing things happen. So that's when I really started, kind of like you did, started looking at this going, I think I need to know more about this technology and this combination. And that's what we found is the Olylife.
And so I know a lot of listeners are familiar with grounding, and that's with the PEMF. I try to do grounding, but I can't go outside with my bare feet all day. And I certainly can't. When I was a kid, I ran around the neighborhood barefooted, but can't do that now much, right, unless I'm at the beach or something. So that's similar to the PEMF, correct? The grounding.
Correct. This device, they say that this device is one 20-minute session is equivalent to about 6 hours of grounding.
There you go, the P90 plus. So, and we'll talk about that. Would you like me to show the blood now so we can see what it does? All right, so I'm going to just share a really quick video. Okay, this is a 30-second video. And Maria, would you like to explain what we're seeing here real quick before I play it?
Sure. So this is a live blood analysis prior to and after a 20-minute Olylife P90 plus session. So again, working with the PEMF and the terahertz. And what we're going to see in the initial, for those who aren't looking, what the first slide is going to show, or the first portion, which is prior to the introduction of the wavelengths, is that there's a lot of clumping with the blood cells. They're kind of all clumping together. We would say that in the medical world that the blood has a really high viscosity. It's really thick and it's not moving well. Some of our vessels are so small that a blood cell needs to be, micrometers to get through in that capillary. And when they're clumped like this, they don't. So this first portion of this video will show that. So you can see in this slide that all of those cells are really sticky and they're clumped together. So this isn't what we would consider to be healthy blood. This is blood that really needs a lot of work. It's really acidic. The pH is probably really acidic. And then this is the slide after. So this is showing how PEMF really just allows everything to be free flowing. It will change the pH in the body very quickly. So that is the before and after. And that's why people feel things so quickly, is when you have better blood flow, the body knows what to do. The cells know what to do when there's better blood flow, better oxygenation, more micronutrients making it to the cell, and then better waste removal. The body just functions better. It's like putting premium gas in your engine instead of maybe, corn alcohol. It's really, going that extra mile so that the engine works better.
Right. And also as we get older, our cells, we have just from unhealthy habits or just aging and such, our cells are also unhealthy. And so they can always use a regeneration. That's like dealing with the root of the problem, making the cells healthy in the body over a period of time, healthier and healthier and healthier, which is what I'm doing with using my P90 plus twice a day. And then all of a sudden we're seeing all different kind of effects, and we'll talk about different testimonials from people. But I'm going to go ahead, Maria, and let you share your slide deck, because I know people are really curious who aren't familiar with maybe terahertz and PEMF, what it really is.
Absolutely. So this is a slide deck that I put together for a couple of Zoom calls that I did for people that really wanted to know how it's working in the body. And Sherry and I talked a little bit about how in depth we want to go with this, but I think there's a lot of people that really want to know exactly what is happening in the body with these technologies. So how I explain it, and I think I would have been a great kindergarten teacher, because I like to explain things and break them down into really simple analogies. And this first slide that I'm showing is related to the heart. We have anywhere from 60 to 75,000 miles of vessels in our body that move blood out to the tissues and then back to the heart, to the lungs, to reoxygenate and move around the body. But we would have to have, in order to get one pump of the heart, to get blood flow from the heart clear out to the peripheral, to the fingertips, to the cells in the capillaries, we would have to have a huge heart, right, to get one pump to do that. We don't have that. We have a heart about the size of our fist, and it has to start pushing blood. And what happens in the system, even without the technology, what happens in our just basic anatomy is that the heart pushes blood out of the left ventricle, it hits the back of the aorta, and then it sends a pulse wave down out to the capillaries, that the smooth muscles along the capillaries, the small arteries, or the arteries, the large arteries, the small arteries, and then out to the capillaries, all of them have within those tubes are really small muscles. And they're kind of like little sphincter muscles that keep sort of pushing. And how I like to equate this is that when that first initial pulse wave starts and the blood hits the back of the aorta, it starts a pulse wave that goes out to the cell. It's kind of like a wave in the ocean. A wave in the ocean will start and it will just keep going. That wave will go and go. The energy behind the wave just keeps going and going and going because of the magnetism of Earth. That's what perpetuates it, right? So it just keeps going until it hits an obstruction. In an ocean, that obstruction would be like a reef, right? But in the human body, that obstruction would be congestion or inflammation. And that can be caused by a lot of different things. That can be caused by toxicity or pathogens creating inflammation. That can be caused by maybe you've been working at your computer too long and your muscles on your shoulders are ischemic. They're not getting the blood flow to them. That's an obstruction. Sometimes it can be scar tissue from surgeries. It can be environmental stuff that's creating us to be more acidic. And then again, look at that blood flow that the video we just watched at, the sticky blood and everything. It just creates this sort of an obstruction or congestion. So that pulse wave slows way down. What I like to say to people is that when we're young and our heart is pumping 80 beats a minute, that pulse wave action that goes out to the cell, we get at that smallest capillary, we get about, when we're young, about 12 to 15 pushes per minute approximately to keep oxygen getting to the cells, micronutrients getting to the cells, and then waste removal at the cells. When we get to be older, middle age, we're lucky if we get 1 to 3 pumps a minute. So when you look at that variance, that is aging. That is the aging process, is the accumulation of congestion that doesn't allow the blood to get to the cell quick enough, or it's at a much slower pace. So now we have compromised oxygen, we have compromised micronutrients, we have waste removal that doesn't happen as quickly as it used to. And so our body slowly just becomes kind of rusting inside instead of staying, really clear. So the goal is to keep this system functioning, at a youthful pace. And so PEMF does that. Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy does that. It activates these smooth muscles along all of the arteries and out into the capillary, and it keeps them pulsing. So the blood keeps pushing. PEMF also reduces inflammation because it changes the pH of the body. It allows acidity to be subdued, so that now, as you saw in that blood flow video, the before and after, the clumping has now stopped. And those capillaries that will only allow one red blood cell through at a time, it can actually happen now. It doesn't get clogged up. Does
Wow.
all of that make sense the way I talked about it?
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's really amazing that you brought in the whole pH and the acid thing. Yeah, that it helps in that way as well, because that's critical. There are some people like Dr. Robert O. Young that's everything's about that, trying to have a
Everything is about that. Everything is about that. And that's how, I mean, when we look at even, clogged arteries and everything, it's all about the acidic effect of the terrain. Dr. Robert Young talks a lot about the terrain of the body, the interstitial fluid around the cells is so important. That's what feeds our cells. That's what allows things to happen. And it's acidic. The whole body is trying desperately to find that pH balance. And so this is really important, and this technology can help us get there. We still have to make the lifestyle changes. We still have to decide, right, that we're probably not going to drink soda. We're going to drink less coffee, maybe move to green tea. We're going to eat more greens and vegetables. I talk a lot to my people about we eat in this country, in America, we eat like everything's a taco, right? We eat the acidifying foods, which is a lot of taco, which is a lot of grain. And then we have the meat, which is acidifying. And then we have the cheese, which is acidifying. And we have a little bit of lettuce on the top and a little bit of tomato on the top. That's our alkalizing factor, right? We need to eat like we're eating a taco salad all the time. So that's how I explain it to my patients. It's like, we eat like a taco in America. We need to eat like a taco salad, where the base is all the greens and the vegetables and the tomato and all of that, which is very alkalizing. And then a little bit of sour cream and a little bit of chip and a little bit of the meat, that's more of a condiment. And we don't eat like that in this country. And that's, there we go. There's our health, and there's our health, related issues.
excellent.
Is we're not eating well.
Right. Yeah.
You see how I could have taught kindergarten.
Hey, no, it's fantastic.
I love the analogies. And then Dr. Klopp, I wanted to bring him into the picture because he has the Institute for Microcirculation. He has since passed, but an amazing pioneer in researching all of what I just told you about the circulatory system and how pulsed electromagnetic field enhances the ability of those smooth muscles within the tubules of our, veins and arteries and capillaries to keep moving blood. And you can see in the background here, he has pictures of all that. I'm going to show here. This is a capture of what was on those screens in the back. And this is kind of the same thing that we just saw in the blood flow video. This is before the PEMF, and then this is after. Now I know it's a slide, it's an image, it's not a moving, but you can literally see all of the particulate matter in the plasma on the left screen, and on the right you can't, because now it's moving very quickly. And I know that you can find this video online. I don't have it, but it would be something great to look at, because you can really see how the white blood cells start doing their job better. Everything just starts functioning better. This is like the new oil in your engine. Boy, can it run better.
It just seems like from the left to the right, the left is clumped up a lot. The right is really flowing.
Yeah, it's really flowing. You can see, just in that capture of that video. And you can find this on YouTube. If you just, research the Microcirculation Institute of Microcirculation, Dr. Rainier Klopp, Klopp. And he's done some great things for this industry.
Excellent.
Okay. This is another video that is out there of the liver. So these are the same slide before and after. For the viewers that aren't watching, the left side, the left screen, the venules are very, very small. There's just a small passage. And then progressively, after being on a PEMF device, moving into where there's extreme ability for the liver to start releasing toxins. And our liver is our garbage disposal, right? We need to keep it clean. So PEMF does, in fact, change how the liver functions, and it gives it greater capacity to get rid of toxins and, do the great clean the blood.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is another great slide. And again, this can be found on YouTube as well. You just have to kind of dig a little deep. So this is super important for when we're talking about cleaning the blood, right? Our liver cleans the blood. So if we can have our liver functioning better, then our blood is going to be cleaner and it's going to be able to do all the jobs it's supposed to. So in kind of tying up all of this, the pulsed electromagnetic field enhances blood flow. It stimulates the cells to do their repair, because really that's what's happening is you get better blood flow out to the body, and everything functions better. I was talking to Sherry before the show, and I didn't know if I want to mention this, but I'm going to mention this in just sort of in a biblical sense. We talk about plead the blood, right? Plead the blood of Jesus out to the cells, or plead the blood. And that's kind of tangible. It doesn't have a tangible aspect to it. It's sort of like, oh, we say that, and oh, yes, yes. But when I got my first PEMF device, that is where those words made so much sense. Plead the blood out to the cell. Plead the perfect blood out to the cell. Because if you can get the perfect blood to the cell, guess what? The cell knows what to do. The cell knows how to restore and how to heal and how to get rid of toxins. But if our body is so congested, it never happens that way, right? So then there's that disease state. So this was so powerful for me, is getting the blood flow out to the cell. When you can get blood flow out to the cell, and you can get in, it automatically reduces inflammation. The body now has a way to get metabolic waste, the cell's metabolic waste, out of the body. And when that happens, inflammation goes down. So pain is always a result of lack of blood flow. Pain equals lack of blood flow, okay? Or lack of blood flow equals pain, if you want to say it that way. So if we can get inflammation gone, then all of a sudden blood flow can get there and pain is relieved. So think about somebody who has neuropathy, right? They have so much inflammation that the body has shut down nerves because the blood flow isn't there to support the tissue.
Whoa.
When we put people on PEMF and blood flow starts to work its way back to that tissue, feeling comes back. Now the tissue may not be ready to be pain-free yet, because there's still a lot of environmental and internal factors, external and internal factors, that have created that situation for that particular person. But if we can consistently get blood flow to the tissue, the body knows how to heal, and the brain will turn the nerves back on if they haven't been so damaged that they can't. And so a lot of times people with PEMF, and if they have neuropathy, they'll experience like, oh my gosh, I can feel the carpet. I feel the ground. It's super exciting, but then I'm always careful, and I always explain to them that tissue may not be ready to be pain-free yet, right? So we're going to have to continually do the PEMF therapy so that we're continually bringing blood flow to that tissue so inflammation can go away. Inflammation and lack of blood flow equal pain. And PEMF is what reverses that.
Wow. I just have to interject really quick. It's just amazing how the body is. The body is magical. It's sacred. It's amazing. It's miraculous. If we just let it do its thing and give it the proper environment, like what I'm learning here from using in this case, my P90 Plus with the PMF and the terahertz, and just letting the cells regenerate, letting my body do its thing and get back in balance and heal.
And allowing the cells to do what they know how to do. It's just that they've been compromised. They're in a compromised state because the supply, the tools, the nutrition, everything that they need to work is no longer there.
Right.
So now take all of this information that we just talked about with PEMF, and now we add terahertz. Terahertz, what we talked about before, it activates the water molecules in the body to resonate at a higher voltage. So now we have this great synergistic combination of PEMF getting blood flow out to the cells, and then we have terahertz, which is actually activating more voltage within our whole electrical system, so that now the cells can do more better. Everything's more efficient. Everything's faster. The person that put Olylife out into the world always loved how Olympians would find ways to heal quickly. Like you could have an ACL injury, and yet that skier is back out on the ski slope in 3 weeks' time. For any of us, it would be months, right? And he was always amazed at how Olympians they found the right tools, the right nutrition, the right electroceutical devices, the right stuff to get them healing quickly. And his desire was to bring that type of energy and technology to the layman, to all of us out here who don't have access to that type of healing. And that is why he put Olylife out, and that's why it's named Oly.
Oly for Olympic.
Ollie, yeah, Ollie, as they say in the Asian country, but Oli, it's for Olympian.
How
Yeah,
about that?
that's the reason it's named Olylife, because he just wanted to bring that type of technology to the masses. Isn't that beautiful? I just,
Amazing. Yeah, I didn't
yeah.
know that. That's awesome.
So now you have this great combination, and it's a combination that I've never experienced before. We experienced PEMF with the Beamer mat, seen miraculous things. You know, it healed my shoulder so I could, my frozen shoulder so I could move. So
Mhm.
many things I've seen with that device. This device, this Oly Plus, the P90 Plus, when we brought it into our clinic September of 2025, so 2025, so just within the last 6 months, I have seen more things happen in short periods of time than I have with just the PEMF alone. So I think that's the secret sauce, like I talk about. One thing that the terahertz does is it dredges the meridians in the body, the energy pathways. It literally starts to work on the entire nervous system and start pulling inflammation and toxins away from the meridians, so that the energetics of the body can actually function more effectively. Like if you went to your acupuncturist and they were putting needles in, that's what they're doing, is they're activating those energy pathways so that electricity flows nicely between the tissues and the organs and the cells, and everything functions better. And you feel better when you leave because you have this new kind of renewed sense of vibration, right? Well,
Right.
that's what terahertz does. My first recognition of this, before I knew all of this about terahertz, was my husband, who has fibromyalgia, and he had his feet on the P90 Plus, and yet he was feeling it in all his trigger points. He was like, "Oh, I'm feeling that in my shoulder. Oh, I'm feeling that in my wrist." And I'm like, wow, this is working on the entire nervous system. I was so shocked and pleasantly surprised, because this is what he really needed. And then I started researching terahertz, and I'm like, oh, it dredges. They call it dredging the meridians, pulling the gunk out, letting all of that go. So I didn't experience a whole lot in the very beginning. But 2 weeks in is when I experienced my eyesight change. Now, I've been working, like I told you, Sherry, I've been working with PEMF for a really long time.
Right.
Never has it changed my eyesight notably, ever. Well, 2 weeks into using the P90 Plus, we're driving home one night. I'm driving, and I looked at my husband and I said, "Stephen, I don't have my glasses on." And of course, that freaked him out a little bit. And he's like, "Where are they? Where are they?" I said,
Right.
"No, they're right there in the center console. I didn't even think to reach for them." So here I am driving where I normally would need my glasses, and everything's clear. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, the vessels in the eye are the smallest in the human body, right? 3 to 7 micrometers. They're so small.
Right.
So my thought process is the combined PEMF and terahertz allowed finally the vessels in my eyes to actually be able to receive blood, so that I could have some healing. And people have asked, do you feel like your eyesight's getting better? And I was kind of like, well, I probably have to go to the eye doctor, kind of to do a before and after. But just a few weeks ago, I was cutting my mom's hair, which is very close up for any of you hairstylists out there. It's very close up. When I got done with her haircut, I went to grab all my belongings, and next to my water bottle were my readers. And I said, oh my gosh, I cut your hair without my readers. And of course, my mom, she was like, does that mean I got a bad haircut? I said, no, 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 no. I just didn't even think to reach for them. And that's close-up work. So I can honestly say that, yes, my eyesight is consistently getting better. Now, that's me. That's not going to happen in everybody. My mom has not noticed her eyesight getting better, although I have to say she's 84. And I've asked her, have you ever taken your glasses off and spent some portion of the day without your glasses so that you'd be able to notice? And she said, well, no, I haven't done that. So, she needs to start doing that. Maybe do some things during the day where she would normally have her glasses on and take them off to do it, and see if there's a change. So she hasn't noticed it in her eyesight, but she's wearing her glasses all the time.
I've noticed that with myself a little bit. I think I brought that up to you the other day, and then you shared what's happened with your vision. I just have readers. They're not really strong, but I just noticed that I would go out and not even take them with me, and not even know that they weren't in my purse.
Right.
Because I never leave without having them in my purse. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even need them. I haven't had them in my purse for like a week. I still use them sometimes. I'm not saying that, but like you said, everyone's different. And I'll just interject really quick. This one man that I actually met, him and his wife, he had a stroke, and for 13 years he couldn't use one side of his body. And he used the P90 Plus for a couple of weeks, and he got full motion back. I mean, this is like you said, everyone's different, but these are just sort of testimonials or things that we're seeing. And I could go on, but I'm going to let you.
Well, and I think to just, build on that, you and I have had this machine for less than a year. Each of us have had it for less than a year, short period of time. If our eyesight is already getting better, think of all the microvessels that are in our organs, our digestive system, our heart, our brain, that are finally being fed. If our eyes are noticing a difference, and those are some of the smallest vessels in the human body, what else is happening in our body that we're totally unaware of, but in the background, things are shifting and changing. And, brain chemistry, so neurotransmitters and digestive stuff and everything, hormones, everything. Yeah.
Right. And almost the biggest thing that I hear is people say they're sleeping better, their quality of dreams. Mm-hmm. And actually, when that happens, my experience is you start feeling more joy. And you're more aware of when you're feeling joy.
Well, and all of this feeds together too, because when we do sleep better, which that's what I hear, that's one of the first things I hear from people is, oh my gosh, I slept so good, is that when we do have deep sleep, we can produce melatonin. And melatonin is the precursor to ATP. So if we have melatonin in the nighttime, then all of a sudden we have more energy for the mitochondria during the day, and everything works better. So again, it's this great symbiotic thing that's happening with the PEMF getting blood flow to the cell, and then terahertz activating cells to do more and do more efficiently.
We can certainly, I'm sure you have a lot of your patients, and as we go, I think you want to share another slide deck. Well, I'll tell you, the person that told me about this, he got himself over diabetes and didn't change anything else in a 2-month period where he was giving himself shots. I guess you give yourself shots in the stomach, I think. Yep. He just was very careful, monitoring his blood or insulin and his counts, but he was type 2. He just kept monitoring it. And then after a 2-month period, didn't have to give himself shots anymore. And his doctor was like,
my blood pressure, blood sugar levels, everything have come down so much since starting the P90 Plus. It's pretty amazing. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my next slide deck. Okay, so this next slide deck that I want to share, I built based on the nervous system, because that's what I really noticed of these two wave patterns coming together was really changing how the entire nervous system was functioning. But a lot of people don't really know, how does the nervous system function? So again, I wanted to put some slides together to show the relation between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And you don't ever have to remember those terms. I'm going to give it to you in layman's terms, which is the gas pedal and the brake pedal, right? So the sympathetic nervous system is the one that allows you to be ready to go. It's the fight or flight stance. I'm ready for action. And that is the gas pedal. And then the brake pedal is the parasympathetic system. It's the rest and digest. It's allowing you to come down. So we want to have this even, we want to have it even in our body. Our body's always trying to find balance, but we really want to have this even stance of gas pedaling and then letting off the gas pedal, and now we're braking. But many of us, myself included, we run with the gas pedal to the floor all the time, and then we're trying to brake. we're trying to get that brake to go. And that's where things don't happen happily in the body, because we never get to a place where we can digest, and we need to digest and absorb nutrition so we handle stress better, right? So there's this spiral down effect. And so when I'm talking to people about this nervous system, I'm always talking about the gas pedal and the brake pedal. Where are you in that? Some people, they've burned out their gas pedal so much that now they're just braking all the time, and they don't have the mitochondrial energy. They don't have ATP production. They're just kind of in this slow motion all the time. And then there's people that are like, go, 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 go all the time. I don't stop. I don't stop. I don't stop. Maybe you don't sleep either. I just don't stop. And that's the gas pedal. So these are the two stances of the body. What I'm finding with the technology that I have to kind of do diagnostics on before and after with the Oly Plus or the P90 Plus is that it balances these two. It balances the nervous system. So let me go through these slides really quick. I'm just going to get to that place. This is a device that it basically like is an EKG machine. The one on the left, and I used to have that one. It's about an $8,000 to $12,000 medical device that you can own. It kicks out a feedback of your heart and your EKG, everything. And this company that I've been working with has now moved to where it's just a pulse wave. So the picture on the right, it's just the finger portion. You don't have the big machine, and it's an app on your phone. Anyone can own this. It's the most beautiful technology to show you the age and vein, the age of your heart and the age of your veins and arteries, right? Because it shows how elastic everything is. We want everything to be free flowing, right? And then it also shows you this nervous system. It shows you the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, the gas pedal and brake pedal, and how balanced you are. So I started using this with my Oly people. When they would come in for their session, I would have them do a scan first, and then I would put them on their 20-minute Oly session and give them about 5 to 10 minutes to, for their body to kind of equalize and get their equilibrium back as far as their blood flow. And then I would run a scan again and see what changed. And that is what I found here. So in this,
and Maria, did you say that the little machine on the right, the little black one, it measures the age of your
veins and arteries,
the
elasticity of your arteries. The elasticity of your arteries and capillaries clear out to the peripheral level because we're doing it on your finger. So it's going to show the elasticity. And what it's measuring is it's measuring that pulse wave, right? How elastic it is. And so that's going to show a more youthful, right? The more elastic your arteries are, the more youthful your body is presenting with. As things start to harden and stiffen, the pulse wave is going to show that. The smart pulse device is going to show that, and it'll show you basically. It'll give you a grade 1 through 7 on where you are potentially in the potential of plaquing in the body.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great device. Anybody can own it. So here is just the gas pedal. Look at on everything in the red, the physical, the mental, and the overall stress is in the red. That's the gas pedal. Go, go, go. And then down at the bottom, it shows the entire autonomic nervous system. Balanced would be in green, but this is over in the red, right? So this person, which embarrassingly is me, just being transparent. This is me, gas pedal, gas pedal, gas pedal, right?
Wow.
Okay. And then this is after. This is what was so amazing to me.
Whoa.
Is that the physical stress came up from 12 points to 33 out of 100. So I'm moving more towards normal. My mental stress went from 2 to 51. Where was I that day, right? And so moved it into the middle. And then my overall stress score moved up as well from 10 to 36. But look at my autonomic nervous system. It was balanced.
Oh my gosh. And that's after, 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
On the
20-minute session.
P90 Plus.
On the P90 Plus. Yeah.
20 minutes.
And so just allowing better blood flow takes the entire body out of crisis feeling, right? Takes it out of that fight or flight into a okay, I can breathe. I've got oxygen coming in. So you come down to this new level of just at ease, right? And we see that in people. We see their countenance completely change in that 20-minute time frame. We can see their body just start relaxing. So this is what happened to me. And then here is that arterial that we talked about, the elasticity. So here again is that same scan before the P90 Plus, in which if you look over here on the vessel, it gives you a rating, like I talked about, from 1 to 7, right? Type 1 through type 7. Type 7, you probably have anywhere from 80 to 90% blockage somewhere in your body, and you've been in distress, right? Your body's acidic, your blood is clumpy, it's causing damage, and then the body's laying cholesterol down as a Band-Aid.
That's scary. Yeah.
So here I started out at type 2, but look I'm on the verge of type 3. My arterial elasticity was 58 out of 100. Peripheral, I was good, but my arterial, so the main arteries were within normal range, but 58 out of 100. But look at after, 94 out of 100.
Are you saying just one session?
This is one session. Yeah. And then here's type 2, and then I'm verging on type 1. So literally, if I were to do this consistently, and that's what I'm telling people when they maybe just want to do a session here or there, I'm like, you just need to own a device, because if you can get this type of wave patterns coming in that are creating this calm for the entire nervous system and circulatory system at the same time. And you can do it every day. Now look at your body's potential, right? You're putting yourself out of that fight or flight and into this calmer state. You can digest better. You can absorb nutrition better. You can really just capitalize on everything that we're supposed to get when we're youthful, but at our age.
Right. And also people have one, I'm sure your patients, if they get their own, the whole family can use it. Their husband, their wife. I mean, bring on the health.
It can be a game changer for an entire family. Definitely. I want to go through 2 other slides here really quick because I think this is important to see. This is a female age, what is she? Age 73. She is a go. She's a seamstress. Does a lot of shows, fairs. She's just always go. And so this didn't surprise me at all. Physical stress beforehand was okay, but mental stress, she was 2 out of, she was looking like me, but look at her autonomic nervous system. The whole balance was shifted to the gas pedal, right?
Whoa.
And then her arterial elasticity was 60. Well, now look at the after, 20 minutes later, actually it was 30, I think it was 30 minutes, close to 30 minutes. Everything's balanced. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I was like, this is how you should be all the time. And and so she went from a type 3 verging on 4 and 5 to a type 2. Again, looking at the potentiality of if you consistently move in this direction, here, she's just going to keep spiraling down. Here, she has the potential to spiral up and out of any health issues that she has.
I mean, actually, it's kind of scary when we can see what our body is doing and what we're putting it through, because we don't know. We're just on the go. We're thinking, oh my God, I got to do this. Now I got to accomplish that. And I got to get this done. And right here, you can see the chart.
Yep. This is her husband. He's very laid back. He's retired, but he was a firefighter and a farmer. How stressful can your life be, right?
Oh my gosh.
He has probably gas pedal all his life. And now look at his autonomic nervous system. He's just brake pedal all the time. An amazing human being. He'll give you the shirt off his back that his wife sewed. But, you can tell he doesn't have the vibrance that he used to. So at the after, I mean, we can see that some of the things changed. His physical moved back up into normal. He was still good mentally. His overall stress was good. His autonomic nervous system didn't change, but my curiosity is they did purchase a machine. My curiosity is to test him in about 3 months and see if this panel is different. That's what I would like.
You've got to.
Yeah. Okay. This is going to blow your mind. We did a health fair and I was just bringing people in to have them do the Smart Pulse test first, and then do the Olylife and then test them again. So if you look on the left here, this is a 43-year-old woman. This is not a normal rhythm at all. This is not normal, right? We want to see it more like this. This is not normal. I asked her, and I took this screenshot during her test, and I said, are you having arrhythmia? Are you having fluttering? What is your heart feeling like? And she goes, well, no, actually I'm feeling pretty calm. However, I do use nicotine patches. And I went, wow, okay, well, your heart is not liking it. Your cardiovascular system is a bit stressed, right? I've never seen a rhythm like this ever, right? In all the tests I've done. And then this was 20 minutes later.
When she took it off?
She still had the patch on, but we did the 20-minute Olylife session. And then we did the test after. And this is what her heart rhythm looked like after.
And just curious, how would you know that was caused by the nicotine patch?
Well, because the nicotine patch did this. This was her this is almost in perfect balance prior, right? Prior to the test, prior to the P90 Plus. This is her test prior to doing a 20-minute session. The nicotine calms the nervous system. It brings you in balance. That's why people find it so helpful, right? It's a dopamine surge. It's just like, oh, I needed this. This is great, right? But I can still function and everything's good. But look what it's doing underneath the surface with her arteries and her heart. It's stress.
Wow.
Right? So here she was before, but look at this. Her heart rate was 111. She said, I'm really calm. But her heart rate was 111. And this ectopic beat means that during the test, there were 44 beats that are missing in the scan, meaning that the machine didn't even pick it up because there was such a hiccup in her heartbeat, which
Oh,
is denoted here, right?
yeah.
There's so much happening that
Yeah.
there were 44 beats that weren't even picked up in the scan.
Ooh,
Right. So
that's scary.
this would typically, in my world of doing these type of tests, this would show heart damage. I'd be like, what's going on with your heart? Because electrically, this machine isn't even picking up those pulses, right? And look at,
Right.
she wasn't within the normal range. I mean, there were so many, look at her peripheral, it's like it's down to 2 out
Whoa.
at the peripheral. Yeah, scary stuff, right? But she felt balanced. She was calm, right?
Oh my gosh.
And she's a type 4 on that 1 to 7. So her potential, if she stays in this place, the potentiality for her to get even more plaquing, which she probably has already started at age 43.
It'd be
So
really interesting
yeah,
also if she stops using that
she
nicotine
has.
patch.
She has.
Okay.
She told me. She
And
said,
then,
I saw that and I thought, I can't do that to my system. I need to find a different way. So this is her scan after. Now look at the difference. She was her heart rate was at 111. After the P90 plus session, 81. The missed beats, right, was 44. Look at here, 1,
whoa.
which is normal. 10%, they say, is still,
Oh
lower
my
than
God.
10% is still normal. Now,
Uh-huh.
it didn't, I mean, she stayed kind of where she was, but look at this. She went from type 4 on that scale of type 1 through type 7 to type 2. So and then look at her peripheral, went from 2 up to 98.
Wow.
So again, this is showing me that the
Oh,
P90 Plus really just balances. Okay, so this was the first time I had ever seen this heart rate, right? This was the first time ever in the 10 years that I've been doing this, right, that I've ever seen this. And then one person later, about, I don't know, maybe 3 hours later into the fair, I get this. And I'm like, are you using a nicotine patch? And she said, no, but I do vape. And I'm like, oh my Lord, look what it's doing to this system.
whoa.
Yeah. So we need to really, really just be diligent researchers. And I feel like this type of technology will assist in so many ways of just helping people kind of see where they're at in life. Kind of like the blood glucose monitors that people can put on now. It shows them what foods really throw them out of balance so they know to stay away from them because their chemistry doesn't respond well to that. Well, this is another piece of technology that I think we should have in our toolbox. We don't have to use it every day, but wouldn't it be nice to bring it out once a quarter or once a month and just see kind of where we're at and where we're
Right.
headed?
And
Mhm.
actually, what's kind of scary is I wonder what caffeine does because I do drink coffee in the morning. I mean, it could have an effect, sort of
It
like
can
the
have an
nicotine,
effect. Yeah. And,
like the
and, and,
nicotine.
and there are some people who drink, coffee all through the day, which we highly do not recommend.
Right.
Um,
Plus the acid.
but plus the acidic assault. Yes. So moving into more natural. Yeah. So isn't this such a beautiful representation of
Yeah.
what the P90 Plus can do on so many levels? Not only balancing the gas pedal and the brake pedal, right? The whole nervous system and bringing that more into a state of balance, but then also changing the arterial output and efficiency so that we can live longer or live as long as we're supposed to, but live it all healthier, live it all in a more youthful state. And I think that's what was so exciting for me about putting all these pieces together. You and I talked about the synergy of this device and some of the other nutrition that we can bring in. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Right.
I just put this in. Now, what if every day your body was reminded of how it feels to be more balanced? So if every day you were on a device or using a device that could bring you for that momentary part of your day back into a place of balance, and what can your body accomplish in those hours that it never would have had the chance to do because you didn't have something in your toolbox that would work.
Right. And Maria, some people think, oh, great, let me try this once. Hey, my whole body should change in a 20-minute session. Well,
Right.
No. How many years of damage, some without us even realizing the
Mhm.
damage that we've been doing to our body. So it's going to take a while. I mean, I think you've probably seen with your patients and perhaps yourself, and I think you mentioned that your husband's been using it as well, that over a period of time, I mean, just we saw what happened to the cells, how they started repairing themselves after one session. Yes, and if we are consistent and continue doing that, which is what I'm doing, I can see other effects, good effects happening as I'm consistently using this machine. And I've been using it since December of 2025. Right. Consistently.
Yeah. And I don't forget to use it. I don't know if that's for your case. You know, sometimes you get tools and you go, oh yeah, I have that over there. I haven't used that in a while. This one, I'm like, my body reminds me every day to do it. I don't miss a day.
Right. Yeah. No, I use it every day. Sometimes I'll set mine on for a certain amount of minutes and I'm like, oh gosh, I might have to get off it a minute early or something, but I really enjoy it. I just feel more grounded, grounded and relaxed. But more energy.
Right. It's that nervous system coming into that balance of the gas pedal's running, but it doesn't have to run all the time. Gas pedal's running, but it doesn't have to run all the time. The brake pedal can brake, but it doesn't have to brake all the time. There's this great pattern that's supposed to happen in our body when it's balanced.
There you go. Yes, more of a balance. Yes, and I'm into balance. I'm a Libra.
Yeah.
So Maria, I know a lot of people have questions, and of course you've got plenty of your patients and your clients. And they're asking questions like, okay, well, you know, when I use the P90 Plus, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to, I know you recommend drinking water and things like that. And you can mention a couple things here, but I'm really excited that I just learned from you yesterday that you are almost finished writing a book. So please share that with us. Share with us a couple of tips using the P90 Plus and tell us about your book. And thank goodness you're doing that. That's brilliant.
Right. I'll just talk about the book first. This business for me has grown so organically in such a short period of time that there's a lot of people that are asking a lot of questions. Now, this is not a medical device. The P90 Plus is not a medical device. So therefore, the manual that you get is very simplistic and they can't give a protocol. That's part of it. They can't give you a protocol. They give you suggestions like, start slow, go on the low intensities first and drink water. And they give you some suggestions, but they can't really give a protocol because it's not a medical device. And so in light of that, I have people texting me and calling me all the time with very just simple questions, but it just takes a lot of time. Like, can I use an extension cord? The cord you get is pretty short. So things like that I just thought, you know what, I'm going to write an ebook and I'm just going to put all that information out there so that from the minute you order until you get your device and you get on it. I've even had some people say, one person in particular said, Maria, it's not even out of the box yet because I'm scared to open it. I'm thinking, the analysis paralysis that some people feel when they get a device and they're concerned. So I would be on the phone with that person saying, I'm going to walk you through your first. Well, that's when you have a lot of people in your organization that you've, shown Olylife to, that's a lot of people to try to handhold through the process of all different kinds of scenarios. So I decided to put an ebook together specifically to walk people all the way through. And so that's what I'm working on now, hoping to have it done within the next week.
Yeah. Excellent. So we'll have definitely a link for that.
Link. Yeah, that you can order that. Yes. Yep. And then let's just talk about some basics in case there's people on here who already have an Oly P90 Plus and they're a little bit stuck. Yes, you want to hydrate before you get on the machine because again, our body is an electrical battery, right? And we run on water. Water is the conductor. So we need to have hydration. We need to go even farther and we need to have electrolytes because we're a carbon organism and yet we don't get enough minerals in. Our soil's depleted. The last 2 generations, our soil's depleted, which means our food's depleted, which means we're depleted. We're not getting what we need, right? So that's why we see a lot of illness. And so those 2 things are really just paramount is you're going to, get better minerals into your body and you're going to hydrate. And then it's as simple as literally putting your feet on a platform and pressing play and starting low. I start all of my clients on 1. I never push the envelope because I don't know what's going on in their system, right? I don't know what's happening in their body. So I want to be as gentle as possible at initiating these new waveforms coming in to that person so that the body can respond in a appropriately with whatever that is and not push it away. Our body doesn't like electricity. We don't like to be electrocuted, right? So we want to not have any place where the body can put up a blockage against it. We don't want the body to block. We want the body to just allow these waveforms to come in and then start to shift. And that's what I do in my clinic, is start low. That one of the gentlemen that we just saw, the gentleman with the autonomic nervous system that was low, he has not gone above a 1. Now that he is going to own his own machine, now that he's ordered, potentially he can start raising up. But his ankles were getting very warm, even intensity 1. And so I always go off of the ankles being warm, right? That's where I look. My electrician friend says that resistance equals heat. So when I started, I could only get up to a 3. The next day I could only do a 1. Now I've slowly worked myself up. So we're talking about 6 months here, that I did myself on a 6 this morning. And it was comfortable warmth.
That's about what I do. And
so so I'm moving, finally getting some of my meridians, the energy pathways are starting to dredge, and so that I can tolerate that more. So I never push the envelope, because we just don't know what's happening in someone's body, and we want the body to be receptive all the time to this great flow. We don't ever want it to put up walls of resistance, which it will, because the body doesn't like to be electrocuted or doesn't like to be uncomfortable.
Right.
So that is typically how I run a session in my clinic. And then also a reminder that a session for us is 20 minutes on the machine, but we don't have to do 20 minutes. I've seen amazing things with just 2 minutes. I have a couple of highly sensitive people come in and they'll drive 45 minutes for a 2-minute session. They're going to buy their machine because it's obvious they need to, but they'll drive that distance for 2 minutes because they see such a change in 2 minutes.
That's amazing.
So let me just tell you one of the things that I've seen. I have her permission to talk about it. She had a brain bleed in October. It was a brain bleed stroke. Didn't affect her gait, but it did affect her shoulder, her elbow, and her wrist and her hand on her right arm. She had been in physical therapy about 5 weeks. So after Thanksgiving was when I saw her for the first time. And we did 1 session. She came in, she used the deluxe, the Revitalux massager. So she had her feet planted on the P90 Plus, but then she was using the attachment, which is the massager with the red light. And she was just, moving it up through her hand because her hand was collapsing in. So she was constantly and just doing that for the full 20-minute session. When she got done with her session, she held her hand out straight like that. And she said, "Maria, I haven't been able to hold my hand like this for this long since this happened." And I said, "Well, that's great. Let's just see how long it lasts." And she has her hand out. And so we started talking, and then we saw her fingers start to kind of curl in and collapse again. So she said, "Can I do this tomorrow?" And I said, "Absolutely." So she came back the next day. She sat in the chair and she said, "I have something to tell you." And I said, "What's that?" And she said, "My right hand helped me get dressed today." Blown away. Oh. I was like teary-eyed. I was like getting it now. I'm like, wow. So one 20-minute session allowed the electrical impulses in her nervous system to start firing this hand again. So it had dexterity enough that she could pull her socks up with both hands. She could put her sleeve on and she could do all of that. And within a week's time, it might've been 2 weeks' time, she had the same strength in this hand that was affected by the stroke, the residual, compared to her other hand. She had the same strength. So that again, I've worked with so many different devices, and I've never seen in this amount of time the crazy cool things that the body can do. And I just go back to the founder who talks about the Olympians who find technology that gets them back on the slopes or on the track or wherever in the shortest period of time. And we now have access to that type of technology.
That is just amazing. And I know why you do what you do and why I do what I do is to help people, to bring forth truth, to bring forth answers. If people don't have to suffer, if there's a solution to having them live a better quality life and better health. And I'm just going to share really quick, which you probably have one of these. This little instrument here, which you can get on like Amazon for like $8 or $9. When I have my feet on my P90 Plus, I can put this on my skin and it lights up like a little flashlight. That just goes to show that the frequency is going through my body.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people don't even realize that we're electric beings, but that's what we are. We're just a big battery.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, and I know we have so many other things. I have tons of other testimonials to share, and I know you do too. But I'll make sure to have links below. If anyone wants to, there's a link on a Right to Know website. People can click on that, and you can fill out a form, and we'll contact you and help you with more information, answer any questions you have. Or there's a link below where you can email us, and we're happy to help. You know,
And
you
I
can.
think on your website, the tab says PEMF, right? I think on your
Yes.
website. So when people go there, they need to look for that PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field. So PEMF is in the tab on your website
Right. Thank you. At the top of
at the top.
arighttoknow.com, the tab
Mhm.
PEMF healing frequency, it says, or
Yep,
PEMF energy. So thank you so much. And like I said, when your book comes out, Maria Boldry, we're going to have a link to that because that's extremely helpful. I'm going to definitely get one myself and tell, all the people, all the loved ones I know and people I know who are using the P90 Plus and do have questions. That's phenomenal. And we'll have you back again. But
that's great.
so anyway, I'll let you say whatever you need to in closing.
I just appreciate your time and reaching out to me. I just feel like this information is so paramount right now, especially when people know that there's tools they can put in their toolbox, and we all need to be filling our toolbox in a great way, in a grand way, so that we have access to everything we can to, with all the pathogens, EMFs, everything that's coming at us. We just have to have things in our toolbox that work. And I feel like what we talked about today is one of those great things that we need in our toolbox. So
Excellent.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you, Maria Boldry, for everything you're doing for not just your clients and your patients and your hubby, but really, really humanity. So thank you for all the information and sharing that with us today. And we're going to have you back soon on A Right to Know.
Thank you.
And everybody else, make sure to keep it tuned because you have a right to know.